Hi, my name is Devin Michelson. I'm an instructor at Intertech Training in Eagan, Minnesota. I teach a lot of different classes at Intertech, including the .NET programming classes, web programming classes, TFS, and I also teach the 3 SQL Server Business Intelligence classes based on SSAS, SSIS, and SSRS. This class that we're going to look at is a class that I teach at Intertech. It's a 3-day class based on SQL Server Analysis Services 2008, although in the class we'll be using the R2 edition of SQL Server. Within this class, we're going to take a look at the Microsoft Business Intelligence tools and a large part of what makes up that designer. The designer course is really just Visual Studio 2008, but they like to call it BIDS, Business Intelligence Development Studio, with, of course, that different type of project. We'll also be taking a look at SSMS and how we can go ahead and work on different forms of scripting, including DMX and MDX. We'll be doing that kind of scripting right within SQL Server Management Studio. We'll talk about how to use the daunting BIDS Cube Designer. If you've ever opened up BIDS and you tried to create an analysis services project, you're given this huge tab dialog box. We're going to talk about all those tabs. It's very important that you understand what all those pieces do for you when you're designing your cubes. That's important for me that you guys understand that when you come take the class. We'll also talk about some basic modeling as far as working with the star schema and the snowflake schema. We'll talk about what was available in earlier versions of SQL Server as well as what is available now with SQL 2008 R2. I'll also be going into what's coming in the up-and-coming version of SQL Server as it's being released. We're going to talk about cubes, and then of course it's very important you understand fact and dimension tables. Of course this is all about how we design our actual cubes. Take a look at aggregations and storage methods, including knowing the difference between molap, rolap, and holap, and of course how it can be broken up into aggregations. Key performance indicators, KPIs, are very important, and as well we can set up perspectives. All of this is done right within BIDS. Again, these are some of these other tabs that are available, and you're going to learn about it if you come take the class here at Intertech. We're also going to work with MDX. MDX is the multidimensional expression language. MDX is a way of querying cubes because of the internal layout is different. You should understand this language. We have a couple chapters just dedicated to MDX, so you should leave the class with a good, thorough understanding of how to write your own custom queries. We'll take a look at data mining as well, something often overlooked with SSAS. Data mining is all about looking for patterns within data, for data patterns, for example, that you didn't even know existed. Admittedly, there's a large part of it based on scientific statistics and mathematical formulas, but a lot of them already come canned right with SSAS. And there is another query language for that as well called DMX. That's for the data mining expression language. We wrap up with these last couple chapters on administering SSAS and then taking a look at many different clients that can actually read data off of an SSAS server. Your prerequisites. You should have basic DBMS knowledge and have some experience working with at least SQL 2005 or newer. Now if you've been working with 2000 and the OLAP services and maybe work with some cubes there, you'll be just fine, right? You haven't worked with a version of BIDS before at that point though. SQL 2005 came with BIDS 2005, really just Visual Studio 2005. That's fine. Whatever experience you have with SQL Server can be very helpful. If you've done cube modeling in other database platforms such as Oracle, that's fine as well. You'll be ready for the class. If you've never seen SQL Server or any database before in your life, then you're going to be a little bit more thrown for a loop. You're going to have a tougher time in class. Basic programming skills can be helpful, especially when we get into the scripting part, but I'm just putting in basic there in my class description. An appetite to learn is very important, and of course, I make the students do all the exercises and labs within the class. I feel it's very important to learn by doing, especially when you're working with these designers. Class can be considered a bit intense, but SSAS I consider is the heart of the BI tools from Microsoft. I mean, really, it's the one that helps you design your data mart or data warehouse, and you can have reports pulling information from it, and you can have it populated with data from SSIS. These are the actual chapters that we're going to be covering. We cover 4 chapters per day, as you can see here. The first one just covering what is the Microsoft Business Intelligence tools. More importantly, chapter 2, where we get into those star schemas, snowflaking, and things of that nature. 3, using SSAS and BIDS, understanding that designer window and all the many different tabs. How do we go through the wizards as well? A lot of wizards available, such as the Cube Wizard and such. Intermediate SSAS and Advanced SSAS continue to work on those designers right within BIDS. 6 is about the cube storage and aggregation. Then we got 7 and 8 on MDX. 9 Again, a part that's overlooked a lot is the data mining feature, which is incredibly powerful. And then you can see how 10 and 11 do administration, and finally we wrap up with some of the different types of clients, including how we can use different ways of displaying data, whether it's reporting, Office documents, SharePoint. It touches in all of that with Chapter 12. Our classroom environment, currently right now we have machines all running with 8 gig of RAM on 64-bit operating systems. And this is, of course, so we can take advantage of a larger amount of memory. If you have a 32-bit operating system, you're locked in at 3.5 gig. You folks will have administrative privileges to the machines you're working on, and there's no night courses or anything of that nature. You guys can leave your books overnight. Those are your machines for the entire duration of the class. Know that when the class is over, we completely rewipe the machines and install a brand new operating system and everything for your security. We like to use Developer Edition of SQL 2008, which has all the same features of Enterprise Edition. Only difference is it doesn't time out. And of course the Developer Edition's licensed for developers. It's not meant to actually be used in a production environment. Anybody can buy the Developer Edition of SQL 2008 for around $50 if you go to newegg.com or anywhere else for that matter. Our students who come to class have wireless internet access in case you want to bring your laptop or any other devices. And we do have a smart board and high resolution projector, which I use in the class. And now, of course, you can also take classes virtually as well. Virtual students, of course, can attend from home or from work so long as they have a good connection. And they can either use their own machine, or something that we're just started working with now is we actually have classroom machines working in the cloud, where literally all you need is a web browser, and you'll navigate out to that browser and you can do everything on a machine where we'll give you plenty of processors and plenty of memory. I'd like to thank you for considering Intertech, and it'd be my privilege to have you in my class. I do love teaching this stuff. I love teaching in general, and I love teaching more than I love the technologies. I go back and forth on that, really. I love the technologies too, but I do love teaching, and that's why I do it. So best wishes to you, and happy Cube development. Have a great day.